Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. This is Darren Pendergraft. I'm the VP of Product Marketing here at Ephesoft, and it's my pleasure to welcome you to the webinar. Today's webinar, we're going to be talking about mailroom automation. Don't let time-sensitive documents sit in the mailroom. Process and route them automatically with Ephesoft. With me today is Mr. Eugene Formanis. Eugene is a senior solutions engineer, and he's really a technical expert when it comes to mailroom operations. Eugene, thank you so much for being with us today.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right, so Eugene and I are going to share the presentation today. We're going to bounce off each other a little bit. I'm going to take the first part and talk a bit about what we hear from customers that as they're thinking through mailroom automation, as they're trying to come up with a strategy that's going to work for their business, like what are some of the challenges? So I'm going to start off by talking about some of the challenges. I'm going to then shift and talk about how we can help you with those challenges, help you get past them. And then when I think is going to be really interesting to you on the call is then we're going to shift over to a live demo. So I'm going to set up kind of the problem, talk a little bit about how we solve it, but then Eugene is going to show you using a live demonstration how it actually looks in real practice. So you can sort of visualize how this might work for your business. Once he walks through that, it's going to come back over to me. I'm going to talk you through a case study where we've got a happy customer using this. It's actually a case study on our website, but I'm going to walk you through it to kind of talk about some of the results they got. And then at the end of the webinar, we'll reserve some time for questions and answers. So as we go along, if you have questions, please feel free to chat them to us. We'll be keeping an eye on the chat, and if we get questions, we'll take them at the end. And certainly, if we don't have time, or if you ask in kind of a more technical question, we may also send you an email to get you the information you need. So let's get going. When we're thinking about mailroom automation, we're thinking about how people can modernize what is actually happening in their mailroom. What we've started to figure out is that depending on the level of job role in the organization, you may have different pressures on you, and you may be like concerned about different things. There's some common themes, and I'll kind of point those out. But I wanted to start by saying your level within the organization is probably going to dictate what the most important problem is that you need to solve. So for example, if you're an office manager, you've got one location, right? You're thinking about automation, efficiency. You want to get this done with fewer people. Maybe you've got limited staff, or maybe because of COVID, staff have to stay home. You don't really want to send people in the office to pick mail up, right? You're thinking about how you can make things run better. But if you're a business operations manager and you have multiple locations, right, now you have a different set of problems. So you still want to make sure things are running efficiently. You still want to automate any way you can. You still don't want people to go into the office. But now you've got the added complexity of what happens if something gets delivered to the wrong location? Or what if it gets delivered to one of your locations, but really needs to be rerouted to a headquarters office or a different location, right? So similar pressures for automation and cost, but now you're starting to think about, well, what happens if something's not delivered to the right location? What do I do then? Moving up the chain another step, what if you're head of operations for a larger business? Maybe you've got offices in multiple countries. Maybe you've got multiple divisions. Again, efficiency and cost are going to be a common thread. And similarly, but maybe even magnified a bit more if you're a chief operating officer, if you're thinking about how your overall business can go digital, you're going to be thinking about, will this mailroom automation work with my internal systems? How do I make sure things flow efficiently through all of my divisions, all of my geographies, all of my departments, right? So there's some common themes here, right? Efficiency and cost. There's some added complexity when you have multiple locations. And just overall, the higher up the food chain you go, you're going to start thinking about what are my other business applications and systems that I'm going to have to integrate with. So those are just some of the challenges you should consider as you're thinking through how you want to automate. Now, there's some common themes. So, setting aside for a moment your role within the organization, the common themes that are really going to dictate how you address mailroom automation are, probably the biggest theme you're going to bump into is what one of our mailroom automation experts, Stephen Bowles, calls the multi-channel problem. Now, the multi-channel problem is that you've got a variety of documents flowing into a variety of locations with a variety of priorities and value, right? So making this even more complex, you may still be getting paper documents, right? So you're going to have to be able to consume paper documents. You're going to be getting electronic documents in various formats, and they're going to be coming into all different locations, regional locations, and you're going to have to be thinking about like where you want this stuff to go, right? Making this a little more complicated, is as you have more different departments, as you have more different locations, you're going to get a different set of document types. So you're going to have to be able to consume a lot of different documents and be able to extract critical information off of those documents to be able to process those documents, be able to route them efficiently, right? You really don't want to do this manually. I think that goes without saying. So, you want to be able to automate this. You want to be able to use technology if you can. And then, probably one of the biggest downsides to paper process is that having an audit trail can sometimes be problematic. Now, we have talked to companies that are struggling with mailroom automation, and believe it or not, even with their electronic documents, they're still printing a paper copy, stamping it with the date, so that, when it's received, and then rescanning it or putting it back in the system. That just seems like a lot of extra steps to us, and you really shouldn't have to do that. You should be able to pull all these documents in the first time, understand what they are, extract the data you need, and route them to the departments that need them. Now, remember, getting certain types of documents into the wrong location can be problematic if they're time sensitive. And I've listed a couple things here. You probably think about your business and think about, what are the time sensitive documents you get? Is it contracts? Is it payments? Is it bills? Is it job applications, right? Is it some other, is it legal correspondence, some jury summons, or, just whatever. There are certain things that are going to be time sensitive, some very high monetary value, some with potentially legal implications, right? So you got to get all of these documents, no matter what file format they're in. You got your paper or electronic, you got to get them to the right location. You got to do it quickly and efficiently. All right, so how do we get you over the hump? How can Ephesoft help? Well, the first thing that Ephesoft is going to do for mailroom automation is we're going to be able to consume digital and paper documents from a variety of input sources, right? So, you may have a multifunction printer in your mailroom that will, and maybe you've got an employee, a clerk, a mailroom clerk, or something like shipping clerk, something like that, that's going to be able to take those paper documents and get them in. We can consume that. That's not a problem. Maybe you have things faxed to you. That's not a problem. We can do that. We can even take things like images from a mobile phone, right? So you don't have to have a lot of hardware. We can consume these documents and these files no matter where they come from, right? In both electronic and paper formats. Now, here's where the interesting part really comes into play. And this is really what Ephesoft is amazingly good at, right? We're going to actually now do 3 steps. And this is where the technology is going to help you get the information you need to route these things in a timely manner, right? So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to do some image processing. And, traditionally, this has sort of been an OCR step, right? This is where the documents are basically read. And so we can start to figure out, what they are and how we can get data off of them. But don't forget, we can handle handwriting and forms and other kind, check boxes and signature blocks and all that kind of stuff. So we're going to be able to ICR the documents. We're going to do image cleanup if it needs it. We're going to be able to pull out blank pages, right? So we're going to do some pre-processing there. We're then going to pass this over to our classification engine. Now, I've listed 3 document types here, but that's not all we do. I just listed 3. I'm giving you a little bit of a tease because I know Eugene is going to use some of these in his demonstration, but it could be any number of legal briefs or, property assessments or, whatever your business is. We will be able to recognize those documents, and pull the data off for you. So it could be personal checks. Maybe you're taking payments for things. Could be a bill from a vendor or for utility. Maybe you've got resumes coming into HR, right? So it could be a variety of different documents. It doesn't matter. We're going to be able to recognize those. And if we don't recognize them out of the box, a very small amount of configuration will get us to be able to recognize those. And then we're going to be able to, using your business rules for the type of information you need to route this, we're going to be able to pull the data off that you think is important, right? So image process, kind of a pre-processing step to make sure it's clean, to make sure we can read it, classification of the document type, and then extracting the data. Now, most of the documents we're going to consume are going to flow right through our system and go right to the destination wherever you want them to go. But I did want to let you know that you have the option to put a validation step in. So if you wanted to be able to do some approval workflow or notification or any number of things, we are able to build that into the flow and be able to give you the capability to stop things, to examine them, if you want. Now, you don't have to. You can just flow things through. Maybe you don't need an extra processing step there, but we have that option if you need it. The final step is delivery, and that's all what mail is about, right? Is getting it to the right people. I've listed just a whole alphabet soup of file formats here, so we can take the information, we can deliver the image and the numbers if you like, right? So that could be helpful if you want a full auditable paper trail. Kind of sorry about the paper trail part. It's not paper, it's digital, but you know what I mean. We're able to send all of those files downstream and then connect them to whatever you want, right? Whether it's ERP system, content management, business process, RPA, whatever, right? It doesn't matter, cloud or on-prem, doesn't matter at all. So that's what we do for mailroom automation, right? Take all of these different file formats, really kind of solving multi-channel problem. We're able to pre-process, classify, and extract data, validate if you want to, and deliver it. So that's enough setup for me. I think we've gone through like some of the common headaches. And so now what I'd like to do is I'd like to shift gears a little bit and move into the demo phase. Now, before I hand it fully over to Eugene, I do have a visual here that's going to sort of outline the demo that he's going to show you. Okay, real quick cartoon, and then I will stop and hand it over to Eugene. But basically what you're going to see in the live demo is you're going to see Eugene consume a multi-page PDF. Remember, I said we can take input from a variety of machines and hardware and electronic and all that kind of stuff. We picked a PDF, but he picked kind of a messy one, right? So he's going to show you a PDF that's got a personal check in it, a W-2, utility bill, resume. There's a bunch of stuff in here. And it's really going to demonstrate how we can take a big bundle of stuff, like a big stack of input, and sort it all out for you. Now, remember, this can flow through the system and get delivered automatically, or optionally, you could do some validation, or you could do some processing. So he's gonna give you an example. He's gonna modify a couple documents, and then the output in this particular demo, just for the sake of demo, for just keeping it simple. Remember, we can send it to applications. We can do whatever you want with it. He's going to send things to a network file share where a department head or workers within your organization maybe have a monitor or a watch on folder. When something hits a folder, they know it's something to be processed, and then they go about their job. Okay. So Eugene, I am going to stop my share, and I am going to turn the presentation over to you, so you can kind of walk us through your demo.
Perfect. All right. Thanks, Darren. Okay, let's get started here. But actually, before I do want to get started here, I do actually want to review the document that I'm about to send to Ephesoft. Like Darren mentioned, this is a multi-page PDF, and this is kind of the classic example. And actually, let me pull it up. And we can go through this document, but just keep in mind, this is the typical mailroom challenge. Many document types are constantly arriving through web portals, through emails, and it's very time consuming to actually go ahead and retrieve the documents, identify them, sort them, and then route them to the correct destination. Not In addition to that, we also want to extract some data there, and not just to route them to the correct location. Let's actually just tab through very quickly through this multi-page PDF. And I can see that we have a document type that looks like it's a check. Looks like we have a W-2. an accord form, cell phone bill, various correspondence. I believe there's an invoice and maybe I think there's a cell phone bill in here. Yes. Yep. This document, it is a multi-page PDF, and just like Darren mentioned, it does not only have to be originally from paper. Uh, Definitely it's scanned. This could be originally a PDF, but you still have that same issue where someone would have to go through and identify and sort this document. So if you look at this document, there is no separator pages, no barcode sheets. It's just receiving it raw as is, and Ephesoft will go ahead and automatically look through the documents, every single page, and left to right, top to bottom, and using the content, determine what the documents are, classify them, and separate them, extracting data. Okay, so let's go ahead and minimize this, and let's actually take a look at the platform itself. And I'm going to go ahead, and we are a web platform, and all we need is a browser. For an operator, a user, even administrators, there is nothing to install to use Ephesoft. All they need to do is be able to hit the URL, and today I'm just going to go ahead and use Chrome and navigate to the home page. And this is our home page. It's kind of optional, but let's go ahead and jump straight into the operator home screen. And actually, let's actually upload this document. I'm going to go ahead and log in. Just know that we do have the ability to support a single sign-on or Active Directory, any LDAP provider. But I'm going to go ahead and manually log in today. And I'm going to go ahead and manually kick this process off by simply just dragging and dropping this multi-page PDF. Drag, drop. It's uploaded, and I'm going to go ahead and click on Start Batch. So as I'm doing this upload, just keep in mind that this is just one of many ways that we can ingest documents. We could do email import where we're monitoring an email address, and as images and emails are being sent, we'll go ahead and automatically pull those in. You could do the manual upload, which I just did. Web portals, we can kick this off using web service APIs, automatically monitoring a folder, mobile devices. If you still have a scanner, well, we can also integrate with scanners. There are many ways. We're pretty import agnostic. Okay, so as I kind of fed this over to Ephesoft, just like Darren mentioned earlier, Ephesoft is going to go through a process of doing image cleanup, OCRing. We're going to read all the text on the documents, and based on that text, we're going to do our patented search classification, where we identify what types of documents these are, and also to where they should be separated. So let's go ahead, and I'm going to navigate over to our operator home screen. And let's actually take a look at this first batch that's here. And I'll go through a very quick uh, tour of our user interface. On the left side, we have the breakdown of the documents. You'll see that Ephesoft took that multi-page PDF and automatically, identified what documents were included here, and also too if they were, single multi-page. And you can kind of see our user interface is very simple. If it's a confident document, which most of these are, you'll see it's marked as a white background with a green, thin green border there. And if we have a question about the documents, this would be a thick bar with a pink background, such as this cell phone bill. So the only reason we're stopping here is because Ephesoft has identified at least one low confidence document. So really, when Ephesoft is not sure, we'll flag it in red. And we do have the ability to, as an operator, if I want to override the classification result here, I can go through that document type list drop down at the top, select one of these fields. I can go ahead and change this. Say, for example, I actually want to change this to like an invoice. Yep. I do want to go ahead and change that back to a cell phone, but I do want to show that is very easy to modify and override. And you don't only have to select from there, right? We can actually just start typing in, and notice that Ephesoft will auto suggest based on what we've typed in the type of document we want to change this to. I'll go ahead and change this back to a cell phone bill. So what if I want to go ahead and accept this classification result, and I can flip through, I can actually click on the review button here, this red button, And then Ephesoft is going to flow through, and then there's another document that, in this case, I believe I set this one to forced review, so we always have to look at the utility bills. And I can go ahead and click on this guy here. And notice that once I address maybe the one or two exceptions, the uh, Ephesoft software is ready to go to move on to the next step. Um, if we had documents here that we had all of them were highly classified with high confidence, um, this would not be a batch of documents that we presented to the operator. So I'll go ahead and accept that. And let's actually take a look at the very next step in this process, which is the validation step. So this validation step, I'll go ahead and click here. And it's the same user interface, except in the center, you'll notice that we now have some index fields that we automatically extracted. So our user interface is very similar. If we have a question about something, we'll go ahead and stop and ask the operator to take a look. In this specific case, I've actually forced it to stop, and you can kind of tell that that's the case. Where if I highlight over, Epicsoft will tell you why are we stopping. In this case, it's just a rule that we have configured that says, you know what, let's actually always review the account number. Um, so what I can do, I can go ahead and click that validate button just like I did before when I was in the review screen. But we also do have a laundry list of keyboard shortcuts, and that's probably what I'll be using for the rest of this demo. In this case, I'd like to accept this. I can go ahead and click on Control E and lock in my answer. So another reason we would want to stop here, right, is would be basically the text that we read and Episoft is not sure. And another way we can determine it's not sure is that the OCR confidence is lower. So we've fallen below a certain threshold, and the goal of Episoft is to make sure that we export correct data. And the best way to prepare an error, right, is to catch it up at the very beginning of the process. So here we can tell that some of the characters are low confident. Episoft will always take its best guess, but I can go ahead and repair this test, and that looks like that should be a .com. And I can go ahead and accept that. Okay, and once again, this is all data that Episoft is, extracting automatically. I did want to quickly highlight, though, on the right side of the image, this is not just a display image. We do also have all the text on the page. So if I wanted to go ahead and type in a note, I could type it in manually, like dear Mrs. Smith, or I could actually just single click anywhere on the page and automatically populate some of the text here. Or if I have more information, I can just quickly lasso. So even when we miss the data, we do have the ability to quickly automate the data entry and also to reduce the potential human error when we're doing that manual data entry. Okay, I'll go ahead and accept this. And the last one, this is just another business rule or validation rule where we have a date and it's required. So we'll go ahead, Episoft will try its best to actually extract that data. If we can't find it, this would be a reason to flag it for an operator. This is a field that we can't extract. Let's go ahead and manually type it in, or, well, like I mentioned before, we have all the text on here. Instead of typing it in, I can just go ahead and lasso the data and bring it in. Okay, and yeah, that's it. That's my job as an operator, where I just prepare the exceptions or the questions that Episoft has. Um, for the demo, we actually forced some instances of low confidence here, but typically when you're going through, right, you're only addressing the exceptions. So you're not looking at what used to be 100% of the volume and 100% manually. You're only addressing the specific questions, and we're automating everything else, all the high confidence, easy documents and metadata. Okay, and one last thing I did want to highlight here. Let's actually close this guy out. I'll go ahead and minimize this. Um, I did want to highlight, so when we export this metadata, we're really, the whole point of a mailroom is to deliver the documents to the correct receiver and also to, extract the metadata. So when we actually export, we have the ability to send these documents pretty much anywhere: document management repositories, databases, network directories, or another application. And Uh, like Darren mentioned earlier, we are in this case sending it to a file folder. It's pretty standard, and you can see here that we were able to custom name the document folders. So now we're essentially routing them to different locations, and it doesn't have to all be in the same folder. We could put this in different locations, and also too, let's actually take a quick peek. In this specific case, I have the export as a JSON file. So you can see the document here, and then the JSON file itself. You can see some information. I could tell who actually, who was logged in, when they actually validated it. Key information such as, was this document signed? Yes, perfect. A person does not have to flip through the pages and actually look. We can, take the data that it was automatically detected by Ephesoft that it was signed, and then we can kick off a business process. Using that information, and we'll just take a look at one more. Like, say for example, like the check we were looking at earlier. We see the check image, and also to the metadata. Let's go ahead and take a look. Yep, same thing, check number, routing number, all that information here, right? And once again, this is completely customizable. This was just a small subset of the fields. There is no limit to the number of fields that can be configured by Ephesoft. It's completely up to your business requirements. It just requires a quick configuration to set up. All right, Darren. Let's see if I can turn this back over to you.
Fantastic, Eugene. Yeah, thank you so much for illustrating the audit trail. I know I spoke about it and you just brought it to life, so thank you for that. Appreciate it. All right, so let's go back to my slides, because what I have to kind of wrap the call up now is an example, right? This is an existing happy customer that's using Ephesoft to process documents. Now, in this particular case study, Mountain West Financial is a financial services company, and they specialize in loan application processing. So, we showed you generic mailroom. This is a particular application of that mailroom technology. And, Eugene showed you a variety of documents. And the first time you see that, you might be like, that's crazy. How in the world could they recognize all those different documents? But we've been doing this for a long time. We're really good at it. That document classification step really is the big time saver. And Mountain West Financial realized this. And I know it sounds like too good to be true, so I'm going to show you a real case study. This is out on our website, so you can go check it out if you want a little bit more detail. But no promise, but what Mountain West Financial told us is that they were eventually able to get 95% of all of the loan documents that they were taking into their mailroom classified and separated automatically, right? Now, this is probably not always going to be 95%. There's going to always be exceptions. Eugene, netted out a couple things that may not always work, but you could start to get up to that level of accuracy and automation. Darren, it seems too good to be true. How could you recognize all those document types? Well, what Mountain West told us was they had over 300 different types of documents in their loan application. And in the first 3 days, the system was able to learn over 300 different formats, right? And, we've got some, the amount of time, the number of resources to process an application was reduced. 45 minutes for a human to go through and sort out the documents and get them digitized and do things. But with Ephesoft, it could be 5 minutes, right? So you can see that there's going to be a very short return on your investment due to the accuracy of the system and how fast it's able to learn different document types. And those are really two critical things to getting over that multi-channel problem. But look, you were able to see us do a demonstration. I talked a little bit about the challenges, but what I would like to do is really encourage you to go check this out, right? What we believe the best way to get started is for you to engage us and to try some of your documents in a demonstration of our technology. So go out to ephesoft.com, go into the free demo, and tell us a little bit about your business and the types of documents you're getting into your mailroom. And let us customize a presentation for you. We picked some documents we thought were representative, but we would like to show you how our technology works with your documents. If you're not quite ready for a demo, you still got a lot of questions, no problem. We've done this a lot. We've dealt with a lot of customers. We've helped a lot of people. We probably have had the question before. So send us your questions. We're happy to engage with you, get those answered for you so that you can see a clear path forward of how this technology is going to help you in your business achieve some of your efficiency and accuracy goals, right? And then as I mentioned, I showed you a loan processing application of this mailroom technology, but we've got customers from across industry out on our website. So if you go to ephesoft.com, go into the solutions area and pick mailroom automation, you can see a variety of industries that we've helped, and we can help customers just like you. So go out, check us out. And with that, we have a few questions and a little bit of time. So I'm gonna go through some questions, Eugene. Here's one. So let me see. File formats. What file formats are supported, and does it have to be a PDF? What could we use .png file? So Eugene, do you want to take that one?
Yeah, definitely. That's a great question. And it probably comes from classically the only images that could be processed by these type of software for document capture are TIFF and PDF. Anything else was outside of the bounds of what was acceptable. But Ephesoft pretty much can ingest any image format. It could be a TIFF, a PDF, which are the classic ones. We can even ingest BMPs, JPEGs, even Office documents. And when I say Office, like a Word document, PowerPoint presentation, if you'd like to give us, we can extract information from that. Many different file formats, not just TIFF and PDF.
Okay, good one. Thank you. Oh, we always get this one. How is this priced? Is it expensive? So I'll handle this one. So our pricing is based on the number of images that you process, right? The number of pages, essentially. It's volume-based pricing. It's consumption-based pricing. So you pay for what you process. Obviously, if you process more images, it gets more expensive, but we've got discount tiers built in. So that's the pricing model. We're happy to talk to you about your particular business need. And if you have more specific pricing questions, please get in touch with us, sales@ephesoft.com. We'll get you a price quote and we'll make it work for you and your business. Eugene, here's one for you. What are the email? Oh, this is an email protocol question. What are the email import requirements? Do we have to have IMAP or POP3? And is that an extra charge? So thinking about how we might send information into the system, Eugene. So do you want to take that one?
Yeah, definitely. Email import is one of our most popular methods of integration, where we just monitor an email address. And the supported protocols are, yes, POP3 and IMAP, pretty standard. But we also do support Exchange Web Services, or EWS, and also OAuth 2. And I did want to highlight too, right, that this email import feature is included in Ephesoft, so there is no extra charge to enable it. It's always included. We just need to have the credentials to log into the email inbox.
Perfect. I know some vendors in the industry charge for that. So yep, so that's a definite advantage. Okay, so this is one. So we used a file system output, but what about SharePoint and SharePoint Online?
Yeah, definitely. SharePoint Online is definitely supported. With it's our usually our normal gateway into the world of Office 365
Yeah.
is through SharePoint. And
Yep.
once
Yep.
again, that's included. It just needs to be configured.
For sure. Okay. Yep. Sorry about that. Didn't mean to interrupt you there. And then last question, it looks like we have time for today is there a resolution? Like what about low res images? Is there a DPI minimum? So can you talk a little bit about image quality and what the requirements are there?
Yeah, that's a good question. Image quality, if you have an image that even a person, a human, can barely read or has issues reading, we are still doing the base foundation step of doing OCR. So if the person has trouble reading it, then the machine will definitely have issues reading it. So that will probably raise more exceptions. So if we have the ability, I definitely recommend 200, 300 DPI. The engine is technically capable of ingesting lower DPIs, but I wouldn't recommend it.
Okay, but that's a good rule of thumb, right? If you can read it, our system can read it. So definitely, but as I said before, definitely. Thank you, Eugene. Appreciate your response on that. As I said before, there's no better way to see how this is going to work than to try it on some of your documents. Give us your hard ones, give us your low res images, give us your handwritten images. And I'm going to close up our presentation today and end with this slide, and challenge you. Get to ephesoft.com, engage us, get a demo, get a trial. Let us show you how our technology can help you automate your mailroom processes and really drive your business forward. On behalf of Eugene and myself, thank you so much for your time today. Look forward to seeing your questions and getting you a trial. And that's it for us. Thank you so much for joining us today. Have a great day. Thank you so much.